Week 10. We're here. Week 9 in the books. Standings taking a little bit of shape. Four teams are 6 and 3. That's crazy. One 5 and 4, two 4 and 5, two 3 and 6. Stern bringing up the rear. We'll get into it. We always do. We'll hear from our loser of the week first because it was none other than Stern. And he did send me the video at like 1:30 on Sunday, which was very funny. I did remind him before Sunday even started to set his lineup with T and Zach Moss not playing. He did not set his lineup. Jack didn't set his lineup. So we may have to talk about some repercussions for folks not setting their lineups going forward. But Stern, what happened this week?
Hey guys, it's 2:09 p.m. on Sunday. 1 o'clock games are almost at halftime. I figured I might as well get ahead of it this week. My team again scored the lowest points. I did not figure it out. I'm giving up. Bye.
So, very funny video. I will say I just watched it again and it made me laugh again. But yes, Stern, it's been a rough season for you for sure. A lot of injuries. Yeah, a lot of injuries and Mahomes not being good. It's been tough. It's been tough sledding for you. We'll get into more team-specific everything when we get through the winner of the week video. Omar was our winner of the week. As you all know, this was me and him's yearly matchup. We had our side wager on it. I put up 160 points and still lost by 30. So that was upsetting. It was equally upsetting knowing that he was at the Ravens game, watching all of his players score in real time. And even more upsetting to know that if we were to play each other every week this year, I would be 6 and 3 and he'd be 3 and 6. But that's not what happened. I got him on the week that he's never going to do ever again. Let's let him bask in his glory for a little bit. Omar, let's hear it.
Here we are again. First time, second time. Third time. 9 weeks, third time. Jared, buck 95 on your head, boy. In fact, moment of silence for Jared. Stood on business this week. Tried to play me. Pocket aces. They were doubting me. I'm a champion. I broke my own record for highest points in a game. Now I'm the top 2 scoring weeks of all time. They say showing up's important. I was down a couple weeks ago. I went out. About this. Had to study up for the boys. Showed up. Told them they need to ball out. Cortland Sutton passing touchdown. Derrick Henry. He's so big. Say Flower, you kidding me? They say when life gives you mountains, you gotta put your bootstraps on and start hiking, boys. And we hiked. We hiked all the way to buck 95. Jared, that $100, that covers my buy-in fee for every fantasy league. Business stood on. I'm looking at this last week. Jack, Stern, they both beat me individually. This week, I outscored their whole matchup. It's done. It's done. It's wraps. We're not looking back. Thank you guys for coming out this season. It's been fun, but I may never lose again. So I want everyone to take care and, have a blessed week.
Yes, Omar did send me 4 separate videos making sure that I put them in the correct order. I appreciate the moment of silence. Yes, the final score of that matchup was 195 to 161. We'll get into all of them as we always do. I always do my matchups last in case you guys want to skip it, but we'll get into it. From a prediction standpoint, I went 2 and 3 last week. Sammy, I know you care about that, and I appreciate it. It brings me to 25 and 20 on the season. The best person that I have is Log. I'm 7 and 2 on games involving Logan, and Omar is the worst. I'm 3 and 6 on games involving Omar. Can't seem to figure him out. He said he's not going to lose for the rest of the year. I'll be surprised if he wins another game. That guy still stinks. Even though he just dropped 200 on my head, I'm standing by it, not changing the team name. He still stinks at this. Let's get into matchups. I already did the standings. Let's get into the matchups. We'll start Sean and Sky. That was a big matchup. Sean was 6-2. Sky was 5-4. Both these teams now sit at 6-3 each. Sean in second, Sky in fourth. People are saying that Sky's place is a little fraudulent. He is 8th in scoring, and his argument that he gets the most points scored on him is null, because there are 3 people who've scored more points, who have had more points hung on him so far this season. But I will say, outside of Stern, he's had it the worst with the injury bug, for sure. Losing Godwin, losing Ayuk. It's been tough. And CD, obviously, we'll see what happens with him. Olave, I feel like, needs to hang it up for the rest of the season. It's been tough staying healthy. Etienne was the worst pick that we could have made in the second round, probably. But he was able to get the win this week, 131-106. He was led in scoring by Jalen with 29, Rico Dowdle with 22, and then D-Hop, who, funny enough, Stern actually drafted and dropped. Like the one waiver move that Stern made this year, probably shouldn't have done. But Stern, to be fair, I also dropped him in my other league. He wasn't doing anything on the Titans. We would never have guessed he would have got traded to the Chiefs and caught 2 touchdowns on Monday Night Football. But yes, those 3 all with 20+. And then we had CD with 16, the Bengals defense with 11, Josh Downs with 12. Everyone else, single digits. The Tank Bigsby run looks like it's over. Only 2 points. ETM with 5 on his bench. He's going to be happy to get Najee back, which is a crazy sentence that I just said. Sean, very disappointing week. The only 2 teams that he scored higher than were the 2 teams that didn't set their lineups. Jordan Love with 10, disappointing. The only person with more than 20 was Kamara, who had 27. Puka got ejected, only had 2 points. David Njoku only with 7. Tyreek's been a massive disappointment this year, sitting at the wide receiver 31 on the season. Kenneth Walker with a little bit of a disappointing performance, only 13. You probably expect more out of him. Scary Terry, efficient as always with 15, and Josh Jacobs with 12. Ramondre 22 on his bench. Tyler Lockett with 15 on his bench. In theory, if you started all those best players, you could have got the win this week, but I don't think you're benching Puka in his first game, supposedly off a snap count back. You never want to see a guy punch another dude wearing a helmet. It's never going to work out for the guy doing the punching. Doesn't work out for Sean's team this week. Sky 131, Sean 106. All right, Noto and Log. So Log lost again. He's 3-6. I think he was 3-2. So he's lost 4 straight. People are saying that I broke him. I'm not saying that, but people are saying that. The whole week and weekend, he was saying how he's going to, lose by 1 to 2 points and it's going to be heartbreaking. What actually ended up happening was it came down to Xavier Worthy, who needed to get 14 points for Logan to win. And Xavier Worthy got -1 points, which I thought was way more hilarious than him losing by 1. So that was very funny. Yes, 0 catches for 0 yards. -1 point. Amazing. Jalen Waddle's stat line was also hilarious. I think he went, he caught a touchdown. He had 2 catches for -4 yards. So, very funny performance from Log's team. He literally, more than half of his points came from A-Kane and Garrett Wilson. A-Kane had 32, Garrett Wilson had 30. More than half his points. Kyler with 4, James Conner with 14, Brock Bowers with 15, A.J. Brown getting hurt with 5. Jalen Waddle with 7, Saints defense with 5. Cedric Tillman on the bench with 19. You hate to see that. And then his tight end he benched Kyle Pitts by accident, it looks like, because that guy is clearly amazing. He's trying to get everyone to trade him for him. But yeah, 114 points. Not going to get it done. Not going to get it done, Logarithm. Noto gets another win, 127. Pretty middle of the pack for scoring this week. Actually, I think he was 4th in scoring. It was a pretty low-scoring week across the league, except for me and Omar's matchup, obviously. But yeah, 127. Bo Nix was 17. Started him over Baker. Baker actually would have been the right play with 0.3 points more. He benched JSN in favor of Nick Chubb this week, which was a mistake. JSN had 37 on his bench. Nick Chubb had 4. The only person that was above 20 was Bijan, who had 21. Everyone else was pretty solid. Nick Chubb with 4, Ravens defense with 9. Everyone else had at least double digits. So very well-rounded performance from Noto. 127 points. Gets him the win. He moves on to 5-4. He's in 5th place. Log drops all the way to 8th. He is only 1 game ahead of Stern. So Stern could potentially not finish in last place. Something to watch for. Technically, if Stern wins out, he's in the playoffs. I'm not saying it's not going to happen. Could happen. All right. Char and Sammy. So this game was pretty mid too, 122 to 117, and it actually came all the way down to the wire. Todd Bowles is a coward who did not go for two. You got a chance to beat the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. You don't go for two. Crazy. Baker Mayfield has also taken his team into overtime twice this year and has touched the ball 0 times. They lost against the Falcons and they lost against the Chiefs on Monday night with him not getting a touch. Unfortunate. Char gets the win. He squeaks by Sammy. Josh Allen with 22. He was the only one who scored 20 for Char. And then he had JT with 8. Chiefs defense with 4, DJ Moore with 7. Everyone else was in double digits. Devontae had that sick touchdown grab for 18. Gino, about the same as Josh Allen on his bench, actually 0.02 points more. Char cannot play the right players. That's really what the season's come down to for him. He's still 6-3, so it's not like it's a huge detriment, but he squeaks by every week. His points for could use some work. He's played the wrong players every week. And then this game against Sammy literally came down to the very last play of Monday Night Football with Kareem Hunt getting in the end zone. If Todd Bowles goes for 2, Kareem Hunt doesn't score that touchdown, Sammy gets this win. We're having a different conversation. Unfortunate for Sammy. The reason he lost this game was really because of Marvin Harrison Jr. He is the most frustrating player to own. I traded for him in another league, and it's ruined my entire season. I have started him 4 out of the last 5 weeks. You can guess which was the week that I didn't start him. Sam Darnold with 19, Breece Hall only with 10. He's been a pretty big disappointment for the second half of this year. He's only had 3 games over 20, and then he's had 3 games less than 10. So not really what you want out of a guy that you take with the 5th overall pick. Not good. David Montgomery with 12 points. Obviously, Chase Brown and J.K. Dobbins did the heavy lifting for Sammy this week. Dobbins with 24, Chase Brown with 26. Chase Brown had the bell cow roll for about 3 days, and then they traded for Khalil Herbert. So Zach Moss at the IR. They did bring in a replacement for him. Zach Ertz obviously 1.5. That's pretty costly as well. Sammy needed a tight end filler. Probably picked one of the worst ones he could have picked. He picks the king of the gritty. He picks Gesicki. He gets a win right here. But if my grandmother had wheels, she would be a bicycle. That's not what happened. Sammy takes the L here, drops to 4-5, 7th place. Char, one of 4 teams sitting at 6-3, currently in 3rd place. Toilet Bowl matchup, we had Stern and Jack. Both of these guys started guys that didn't play. I even reminded Stern, didn't put in anyone. I had to explain to him how the waiver wire works. Didn't do anything. He had Freiermuth on bye. Carson Steele, you don't need to roster anymore. Steelers defense was on bye. Christian Kirk is literally done for the year. Just poor management on both parties, candidly. Jack scored 103 points. He was the second lowest scorer. Still got a win. He was carried by Lamar and Joe Mixon and Devontae. Wandale with 4, Sam Laporta with 4, Calvin Ridley with 12, Colts defense with 13, Dubes only with 6. Jack, you can tell us that you thought you were getting Bijan. It's enough time has passed. You can be honest. That was the worst trade I've ever seen in my life. There's no way you didn't think you were getting Bijan. Jack, 3-6, 9th place. Stern, 2-7, last place. And then me and Omar. This was the highest scoring matchup of the year. Probably the highest scoring matchup that we're ever going to have in this league, candidly. 195 and 161. So we combined for 357 points, which is just absurd. We didn't have a single player score less than double digits in any of our respective positions. My low score was Drake London, who got hurt. Actually, my low score with Kyron, who had 10.5. Give me 1 second. Yes, where was I? Omar dropping 200 points on my bald dome. Yep, Kirk Cousins with 17 was his lowest score, tied with Austin Eckler for 17 for his second lowest score. His defense had 19. Tony Pollard had 18. Kelsey had 22. Zay Flowers had 29. JJ had 21. Derrick Henry had 26. Even Cortland Sutton in the action, scoring 23 points. I scored 161 points. That's going to get a win most of the time, but not this time. Jaden Daniels with 19. Saquon with 32. Amon-Ra with 18. Kate Otten has been awesome off the waivers with 21. Cooper Kupp with 21, Vikings defense with 12. Yeah, even Omar, his defense was the highest scoring defense out of all the defenses this week. So just one of those weeks for me. Great week for Omar. He gets a well-deserved win, dropping 200. That's That's going to get you the win every time. So, Omar, congratulations on your win. You move up to 4-5. That was a must-win for you. You're in 6th place, sneaking in the playoff pictures. I am one of the 4 6-3 teams sitting at first because of the point differential. Let's get into this week's matchups, shall we? So I did yell at Stern to set his lineup, so I'm hoping that he has most of his lineup set. It looks like he doesn't have CMC in, still in his IR. So, in theory, his matchup, the projection should be a little closer than what it is right now, but I'll get into it. Let me get my little spreadsheet pulled up, fellas. Okay. All right, first matchup, we got Noto and Sky. Sky, hampered with injuries, as we've talked about. CD is a maybe this week. We'll see. He did not practice today. Olave, I'm assuming they're going to shut down for the rest of the year, candidly. Yeah, it's tough sledding for Sky right now. We're starting Trey Palmer in his second flex. Maybe he plugs in Jalen Warren. Maybe he goes both Steelers in the backfield. I'm not sure. Rico Dowdle looked very solid last week, but Philly's defense has actually been looking pretty solid. And obviously the Dallas Cowboys offense as a whole, as bad as it was already, takes a hit with Dak being out and Cooper Rush being in. Not a lot of, Sky's sitting at 6-3, but it's tough with all the injuries he's had. I'll say it. It's tough. Noto, projected for 133. I don't think, neither of these teams have anyone on bye this week. So Noto plugging in Pittman, it looks like. JSN, I'm assuming, is going to find his way back in the starting lineup after the bye this week. Tank Dell, you're hoping for some production out of him. And then Jamar Chase and Darnell Mooney off the waivers has been money for Noto this year. He's the wide receiver 12 on the season. James Cook and Bijan are a very formidable running attack at the running back 10 and 4 respectively. And then Baker is actually the QB2 on the year. That's even with all of the injuries to his offense that he's had. He's still projected for 18 points. He's the wide receiver 2 against San Francisco, or the QB2 going up against San Francisco. I can't talk right now. Curious to see if he leaves the Baltimore defense in against Cincinnati. Joe Burrow historically plays very well against Baltimore. That's a decision he'll have to make before the Thursday night game. But Sky going the Eagles defense against Dallas, that might be a little counterintuitive to his team with Rico Dowdle and CeeDee Lamb. But honestly, probably a solid play. I will be taking Noto. I think, Noto's team is looking very good. Sky's team is looking pretty banged up. Tough. It's tough. You got to feel for Sky. But it's going to be Noto this week. All right. Actually, okay. And so we're in this part of the season where most of these teams have played each other previously. So I'll hit on the matchups from the first time. This is the one matchup where they have not played each other yet. So Noto and Sky have not played each other yet. This is the first time they're seeing each other. Our next matchup, Jack and Omar, they have played each other before. Jack won by a score of 134-98 in week 2 before Jack ruined his season for no reason. Omar is about 11-point favorite going into this game. So Jack also traded Rico Dowdle for Deontay Johnson, which was a horrible trade last week. Deontay did not record a single stat, and Rico Dowdle had 20 points. So whatever trade Jack makes, it's just the wrong trade. He also traded back the Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, and Cortland Sutton at 24. So whatever Jack's doing, I would do the opposite of that in another league because he literally has not made like a single correct trade this entire season. Lamar on Thursday, Joe Mixon going against Detroit, whose run defense is very solid. Brian Robinson did practice today. Devontae Adams should be able to have a decent week going against Arizona. Wan'Dale Robinson still in the starting lineup, who has not been very good since Malik Neighbors came back. He's an 8-8-8 3 weeks in a row. Calvin Ridley, we'll see about that one, buddy. And then there's no way he hasn't set his lineup yet because he has the Colts defense going in against Buffalo. That would just be foolish, which would honestly make sense for him because he's in 9th place. But Omar, projected for 127, coming off a 190 burger. Kirk Cousins against New Orleans. Derrick Henry's the RB1. Tony Pollard's been a workhorse, but the Chargers' run defense is actually pretty good. He's got Justin Jefferson going up against Jacksonville. Zay Flowers on Thursday going against Cincy. Kelsey looks like he's back. 20 points last week. Adunze, 8 last week. Obviously, he was on his bench, but Adunze had a really good week last week. And then Cortland Sutton, wide receiver 22 on the year, surprisingly. Chargers defense against Tennessee. That's a very good play for Omar. Omar's team, maybe they get hot. Maybe they get hot. I think he gets revenge on Jack this week, although I'd love to see Jack somehow get the sweep on Omar for this year. That would just be comical all around, but I don't see it happening. I think Omar gets this one. Next matchup, we got Sean and Char. Sean is decimated by the bye week this week. I need to refresh my page because it's not. It says that he has no one on bye, and I just know that's not true. Yeah, so let me read off the players that Sean has on bye this week. Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love, David Njoku, Tyler Lockett, Tucker Kraft, and Kenneth Walker. So his entire bench, outside of his defense, is all players on bye this week. He is forced to start Gabe Davis. You know you're good for one good Gabe Davis game a week. Sean's banking on it being this week. These two teams did play each other earlier this year. They played in week 1, where Char got another narrow victory. That's been Char's season all year, 134.28 to 133.8. Sean he's rocking with Tua this week. Kamara, Ramondre, Puka, Tyreek. So he's got the Tua Tyreek stack. So really, he's playing Jonnu Smith as well. So he's rocking all out with Miami this week. You know, he normally is all out with the Packers. He's transitioned to a Dolphins fan this week. Scary Terry and Gabe Davis rounding it out. This game is really going to come down to, is Tyreek Hill going to score a touchdown? Because if Tyreek Hill scores a touchdown, he gets double points because he got the stack going. Char, does he play the right guys this week? We'll never know. Jahmyr Gibbs, Kareem Hunt. He's got Lad McConkey in. He's going Devonta. He's got JT and DJ Moore in. Evan Ingram at the flex. Does he start DJ Moore? Does he plug in Jordan Addison? Does he plug in Rashad White? Does he even plug in Javonte Williams? I don't know what you do with DJ Moore. I have him in another league. Hate that guy. Just either 5 points or 25 points every single time. Looking at his stats over the last 3 weeks, it's been 6, 5, and 7. So he actually started off decent, and then he had 27 against Carolina, and he's been very bad since then. He also just walked off the field on that one play. I don't know if anyone saw that, but that was pretty crazy. Just left the game, said, no thanks. I don't like playing with Caleb Williams. This is a really close matchup. Honestly, when Sean beat me week 2, it was when like all of his players got hurt, and he basically needed, Kamara to have 40. But I could see it. I could see this being the Tyreek week. He's been very mid the whole year. He hasn't really done anything. I don't think he scored more than the first week he had 26. He hasn't topped 14 points since then. Even with Tua being back the last 2 weeks, he's been 12 and 13 point scorer. This is the week he gets in the end zone. This is the week he takes Sean to glory. I will be taking Sean over Char here. I know might be a little spicy for some of you guys with Sean's bye week, but that's what I'm calling. I'm calling my shot. All right. Log and Stern. Stern has made some waiver claims. Proud of him. He does still need to put CMC in his lineup, assuming that he's playing. His team is just decimated with injuries. He was originally projected to be first, dropped obviously to last place right now. He's going with Caleb Williams. He clearly needs a quarterback because Mahomes is not a very good fantasy QB except for last week when he handed me an L in another league. That's a whole different story, which I won't get into on this video. But Caleb has not looked good the past 2 weeks. Chuba and Aaron Jones have been his only good players, and everyone was mad at him for me doing that trade. They've literally been the only reason he's gotten any wins. Khalil Shakir, Ray McLeod off the waivers, Justice Hill off the waivers. Wouldn't surprise me if he makes a deal with Nico or maybe CMC this week. He needs some depth. Nico is currently not projected for any points because he's still on the IR. He didn't practice today. Wouldn't be surprised if he does end up playing. Something to monitor. Omar offered him just an atrocious trade. He said, hey, I'll give you JJ if you give me CMC and Nico. Omar's just trying to scam everyone. He just sends the worst trades of all time. That guy's a freaking scam artist. Crazy world that we live in. Log. Projected for 120. One of the lower projections of the week. I might have forgotten to mention these two teams did play each other in week 2. Log won by a score of 143-90 before Log's team went to poop. He's got Kyle Pitts in this week as Brock Bowers is on bye. Would not surprise me if he ends up plugging in TJ Hawkinson. Jordan Mason, you can kiss that baby goodbye. CMC is back. He's benching Kyler all year, Log tells me. He tells me all year Kyler's a good QB. He's a good fantasy QB. Yet when push comes to shove, Matt Stafford gets to start over Kyler? That doesn't make sense to me, Log. That doesn't make sense to me. A-Kane's been looking money. James Conner's been very decent. He's a running back 15 on the year. Garrett Wilson, has been very good. He's turned it around since his first couple games of the year. He's been on fire. AJ Brown, hopefully, Log has him this week. I think he did practice today. He just a knee scare, and then Bucky and Jalen Waddle rounding out his flex. Log candidly desperately needs some depth. He's got Jalen Waddle in, who is right now the wide receiver 65 on the year. Falcons defense against New Orleans. We'll see about that one. I'm picking it just because I think it's going to be hilarious. I think Ben's going to beat Log. He's going to make a trade. He's going to make something happen. He's going to set his lineup, and he's going to beat Log because that would be very funny. All right, me and Sammy, we did play each other week 1. I won by a score of 134 to 95. I am projected for 146. Sammy is the next highest in the league and projected for 136. I don't have anyone on bye. Sammy is without DK this week and the Packers defense, so we picked up the Texans defense against Detroit. That's an interesting play. Hopefully I get Drake London back this week. Kate Otton's been awesome. I got my Cooper Kupp and Kyron in my flexes. Amon-Ra's been very good. He's a wide receiver 8 on the year. Swift has been very good. He's the running back 17 on the year for someone that I frankly was trying to get rid of after the first couple weeks. He's really turned it around. Since his first 3 weeks, 29, 20, 21, 18, 14. So, been very good. Jaden Daniels, the QB3 on the year. Got the decision between him and Burrow, who's the QB5 on the year, who typically lights up Baltimore. Honestly, I got a lot of depth right now. I'm struggling. I don't know what to do with Tyrone Tracy or Brian Thomas. Even Jake Ferguson's a very viable tight end. He's been solid. He's been solid this year. Say on Sammy's side of the matchup, he's benching Marvin Harrison Jr., which means he's definitely going to go off for 30. That's how it works being a Marvin Harrison Jr. owner. He's got Darnold against Jacksonville. He's probably going to have a very good game. Breece Hall against Arizona will probably be a very good game. Montgomery against Houston. And then Debo, Neighbors, who has not been very good since he had that tear where he had 28, 28, 23. Then he got hurt. And then 8, 14, 14. So, been very hit or miss, but he does have Carolina this week, so I'm assuming he's going to be doing very well. Pickens has looked awesome with Russ at the helm. 22 and then 11. I think he had a couple touchdowns called back or whatever. He did have a couple touchdowns called back from flags and everything. And then Dobbins has been very good, but he does have a very sneaky good run defense against Tennessee this week. It's going to be close. I don't think, knock on wood, I don't think Sammy's ever beaten me. I don't say that as a haha. Legitimately, I think in the past 3.5 years, Sammy has not beaten me. I really hope that doesn't start now because I've been either the third highest scorer, the second highest scorer, and lost the past 2 weeks. Really need to get back into the win column. I would like to have a bye. I would like to secure my playoff spot. The boys need to have a bounce back week this week. We got to get back in the win column. So it's going to be me. I'm dubbing it. And that's what I have for you guys. As always, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Congrats to Omar again for winning the annual Week 9 matchup. The countdown to Week 9 of next year starts now. We're going to get in the lab. We're going to get better. We're going to grow from this. We're going to learn from this. Other than that, hit the waivers. Make some trades. Just don't trade Omar anyone good. Thanks for watching. I love you guys.